Hello there, El Presidente Tel here. Doing a sort of response video in a way to Thunderfoot's Why Burn the Quran. Now, I know I've done a video to him before based on his burning the 40,000 Qurans that he did, nice little stunt and all. Now he's going further. Now he's trying to justify ideologically why he burns Qurans. And he cites the evils of Islam and the controlling nature of Islam and how it doesn't want you to advance and it wants to keep people back and suppress human rights, and he's doing this for liberty, and that's why he does draw Muhammad Day as well, which is ironic coming from a man who spent the last couple of months complaining to Coughlin wrongly that he had been photoshopped onto pornographic images. He now spends time denigrating one of the biggest people in the Islamic faith through pictures. Just a small irony there, but I think it's valid. But I have a question for Thunderfoot with regards to the burning of the Qurans and the unjustness of Islam and the pernicious nature with which it invades. Which strain of Islam are you talking about? Which particular denomination are you referring to? Because let us not forget that Islam is not one giant homogeneous lump of a religion. Much like Christianity, it has schismed and there are many parts. The part that people have the biggest problem with is the Wahhabi faith. The Wahhabi part of Islam was set up in the 18th century by a prophet called Wahhabi. And his particular interpretation of the Quran is absolute, and that it must be absolutely adhered to, and that anything that didn't happen before the 9th century will be removed from culture because it is not Islamic. Now, I don't know about you, but I like things that happened past the 9th century, so let me set this straight, I don't agree with Wahhabist Islam. But to lump every person who is Muslim in with the Wahhabists is like lumping every Christian in with the army of God because they decide to kill abortion doctors. It's wrong. You don't do it. Also, if you were to study why the Wahhabists believe what they believe and why they're then capable of killing people, including Muslims, because they believe that if you do not believe their interpretation of the Quran, that you are not a Muslim. It doesn't matter if you've been a Sunni for 45 years or 10 minutes. If you don't follow the Wahhabi faith, you're a target as much as a Christian. That is honestly the Wahhabi belief. I will put a link to a very good article on about.com at the end in the comments below here. So what I'm saying is, in essence, it's extremism you're opposed to, which is fine. Everyone is opposed to extremism in certain ways, but you seem to have jumped on the bandwagon of Islam being the terrorist flavour of the decade, really, because they're the only ones making any noise terrorist-wise. I mean, in my country, we've had a lot of different terrorist incidents. We had the IRA for nearly 35 years. But I do not lump all Irish people in with the IRA. That would be disingenuous. But I'm not going to dwell on that point too long, because I think I've made it. Now, to move on to the part where you talked about appeasing Islam, you talked about the Quran burning and how a man was arrested in Carlisle. Well, there have been several arrests, but they've been under public order offences because, it's rather unsafe to go burning a Quran in the middle of the town centre. And that by the other token, you could mention the campaigner from Muslims Against Crusaders who was convicted of a public order offence for burning a poppy on Remembrance Sunday. For those who don't know, we wear poppy flowers in England to remember the fallen dead in the wars. And he was fined for that and convicted. So it shows that they don't get away with things just because people are afraid of their religion. because it was a stupid thing to do. It's like every walk of life, Thunderfoot. There are perfectly normal, acceptable people who get on with their lives, like the majority of Muslims, and then there are raving dickheads who just seem to want to piss everyone off. And that is your extremist. Now, you also mention about honour killings at one point. The honour killing part, as I understand the term, honour killings is not cutting someone's head off for insulting the Quran. The honour killing is normally done when you've brought shame upon your family. Most ordinary in England at least, is because a woman has not married within an arranged marriage and she is then murdered by her family to save face. At least that has been the most reported ones over recent decades. So just to call you on a point of order there. But you then go on to sort of say that it's your right, your imperative, and at your protest you've made a stand because it's 1 million Qurans burned, and when they burn one next time they won't say it. I think everyone on YouTube is fairly savvy of the fact that what we do on here is fairly inconsequential to the affairs of the world. Otherwise, you would have about 300 jihadists on your doorstep right now, unless you think they are already. But, yeah, it's not... No one really cares what you've done with Qurans on a disc. You know, you can say all you want, oh, but they wouldn't be bothered if I burned a Bible. You know what, Thunderfoot? Burn a Bible. Burn a copy of the Bhagavad Gita. Burn a copy of the Torah. Get every religious tract you can and burn it. And let me know what the supporters say to you. Because I bet you will get the same indignation. Because it's not the book. It is not the fact you're destroying the book. It's like burning a flag. You are desecrating the idea it stands for. And when you do that, you act as a rallying cry for every extremist going, because they hold you up and they go, look at the arrogant West. They claim to have domesticated their religion. Well, I'd love to see you explain how the Army of God, who I mentioned previously, and the Westboro Baptist Church are domesticated. And I think that's very arrogant of you as well, because, you know, you claim to say it's domesticated. I don't think many people of faith would take happy to being compared to like a pet or a farmyard animal. But you also forget that most of the great advances in culture in Europe wouldn't have been made possible if it weren't for the fact that at the time in the Muslim world they kept copies of the great Greek works that were nearly all destroyed by the Romans as they moved through in their March of Reason. My point being, Thunderfoot, in all this, it's extremists you don't like, not Islam. So start saying it. And if you're going to burn one holy book, burn them all. Have the guts to have a good old biblical book barbecue. And let me know what they say. This is El Presidente Tel, wishing everyone love, peace and liberty.